I need to finally get some of these lists that have been on the back burner for too long into the spotlight, and for whatever reason, this list just happened to come up. My list of 10 unpleasant sounds in video games. So I imagine that some of the questions going through your head are, does this list mean just annoying sounds, or sounds that you hate? Well, basically it falls under 3 categories. 1, if it makes me feel uneasy or intimidated, I guess that's one way of putting it. The second rule is, it's just flat out annoying to listen to, so yeah, you can put that on there. Or third, it's something you don't want to hear, not because it's annoying, but because of what it means. You'll find out soon enough. All of these combined equal a rather unpleasant moment in gaming, so I thought it'd be fun to make a list for them, which sounds like terrible logic, but I want to challenge that. Alright, let's start it off!
10th place.
Trying to come up with just 10 entries was already hard enough, and sadly, 10th and 9th place are more the generic entries. I do my best to stay away from that boring, non-surprising stuff, but sometimes, like this video, it's easily justifiable. One thing a gamer never wants to get in a game is the game over screen. The screen knowing that they failed, you suck, and now the game's gonna laugh at you, and in Sonic CD's case, they actually do. I would love to have that as just the entry, but Sonic will have his own entry later on. And so many games make you feel ashamed with their own little tunes of player embarrassment or sound effects that it is easier just to have its own collective entry. Its own multiple, mocking you, entry. I hate it and so do you!
It's okay to die, Bats. I'll be here to protect Gotham. I'll do a real good job.
9th place.
You guys know why we feel pain, right? It's a sign to let us know that something ain't right with our bodies. It's a warning that we actually don't realize is good for us, because if we didn't know something was wrong, it could lead to something that could in fact be fatal. Trying to do just that in a video game for a character's health system is not the best decision. Unless your character is staggering along or looks fatigued, it would be hard to remember that your character is on its last legs. No one wants to have a character so beaten up they couldn't fight back. Realism doesn't always equal fun. Which brings us to the more video gamey conventional sense of ring ding, your health is at death's door. As annoying as this is, it still serves a purpose. It's a reminder to the player that, hey, find some health before the 10th place entry happens, you numbskull! I may have bunched up the last entry, but we all know the best example of this one is none other than the Zelda series. For most players, Zelda usually is the first one you would think of for something like this. Unless you said Pokemon, but Zelda came first, so I'm going with that. I want to find hearts just so I can stop that stupid beeping and can listen to the amazing music again. Look, I get it, I'm low on health. Do you really think that constantly annoying me is going to help me focus on staying alive? No, it's probably going to distract me and kill me faster. Whose side are you on, game? And then we have Skyward Sword, where there are 2 beeps. One for your hearts, and one for Fi telling you about your hearts. Telling you something you already knew. That would be like if I kept telling you guys every minute that you're watching a video I made. Man, I wish you would just shut up, Fi.
8th place.
I'm not even gonna try building this up. It's Baby Mario crying in Yoshi's Island. It's off your back for 1 second and throws a tantrum. There's a reason why it's a new Yoshi for each level, because if one Yoshi had to put up with this migraine for the entire game, he would throw himself into the bottomless pit before that baby could grow up to do it. I took my eyes off you for 2 seconds, literally 2 seconds, and you've made waterfalls with your eyes. Fine, I'll give you another piggyback ride. Anything to calm you down and get child services off my back.
7th place.
Sometimes a game will give an enemy a soundtrack all its own as its own special way of letting you know that it's gonna kill you! Yep, now we get to an entry where the sound is supposed to warn players about something.
Uh-oh, there's an orn around you, Pit.
Are you talking about the floating skull?
Yes, the slightest touch from one of those will annihilate you.
That sounds painful. Not to mention totally unfair.
And just like it killed the setup, the orange will kill Pit by just touching it once. These collection of lost souls have this 8-bit sound to warn you that it's in the area, and you should avoid it at all costs. Don't get me wrong, it's good that they give you a warning like that. The unpleasantry comes from knowing that you're faced with instant death. So how do you stop it? Unless you have the light arrows, stay as far away from that gathering yapping skulls, or else it's back to 10th place for you.
Uh-oh. Remember, if an orn lands even one hit on you, it's the end.
So don't freeze up like a lizard in roller skates.
Oh, he won't. His style is more deer in the headlights.
Okay, enough.
6th place.
But it's Pokemon, and it has like the greatest soundtrack that ever existed, and all the Pokemon cries have their sense of charm except for Servine. You already did low health, so you can't use that. What else could you possibly... Remember that? The move Screech is supposed to drop an opposing Pokemon's defenses by 2 stages, but it might actually make the player drop their handheld because they need to cover their ears as a natural reaction. The Japanese name for the move is translated as Unpleasant Tone. It was like it was destined to be on this list. If anything, this should have made the Pokemon's hearing go deaf for a little bit, making it hard for them to understand what moves you told them to use. But then more people would have used it, so I guess I'm glad it's a move no one uses anymore. And thankfully, later generations no longer have that nail-on-chalkboard sound, so thank you for fixing that. But unfortunately, this sound has been burned into my memory, making it a little hard to forgive you completely.
Yeah, it's super effective on my ears!
The Sonic entry. Oh man, where do I even begin with this one? Well, I already did when I brought up the Sonic CD game over You Suck laugh track, but there are plenty more. You know, I'm surprised people don't complain about the spin dash sound in the originals. To me, it always sounded like a drill at the dentist. Lucky for me, that actually doesn't get on my nerves. Then I thought about how the series had those times where they always repeat a phrase.
You know what they say, the more the merrier. You know what they say, the more the merrier.
Yeah, way to loop those, Sega. Generations was close to being on this list. So very close. And then I recently picked up Sonic Colors for the DS. It all sounded good and then... I actually want this drill to crack and break before my ears do! If you want to say the Generations final boss fight was worse, by all means go ahead. But I have low tolerance for sounds that make my ears ring. It's drilling a hole in my eardrum! Let's go for another sound that's based more on being more fearful than annoying. Enter Gamer from Game & Wario. A classic scenario. A boy is trying to stay up past his bedtime to get a new high score, but his mom knows him better and keeps checking up on him. With headlights for eyes! That makes me feel very uneasy, but this isn't about appearances. It's about that soft yet eerily high-pitched noise whenever she gets closer and closer. Oh, it's just that creepy old man again. Why hasn't someone called the cops on him? But when it's your mom, you better be under the covers. Not because you're trying to pretend you're asleep, but because it's the only safe place left to go. Can you tell me she's not scary when she jumps out of the TV and is walking back and forth in your room? Or when she runs right up next to you and you wish you're having a nightmare, but it's real. It's so real. In the game, that is. I wouldn't have to go through this if she didn't beat my high score in the first place. That's what I think this is all about. She doesn't care if I'm asleep or not. That's why she watches TV in my room. She just doesn't want me to get first place. Well, I'll show you. I'll show you who's better. I'm not going to play the actual sound for this one, mainly because I'd have to censor it anyway. But I think even by describing it, you'll get the gist of what's going on here. Online multiplayer games can be fun. Online modes with friends are more fun than that. Online modes where some little foul-mouthed delinquent is constantly trying to sound superior to everyone and usually start their sentences with "suck my" or "I did your" is the only sign you need to find another match to join. Why do they do it? I would say trolling, but another part of me says they think that saying such overused phrases and words that would get them sent to the principal's office would make them sound acceptable to the older audience that plays some of these games. Or they had bad parents, I don't know. Trash talk with your friends is fine. Trash talk to other players and people you don't know will result in them muting and ignoring you. For the record, I don't know if these guys do it, but muting everyone I don't know in online matches is now just a habit. Some of you are probably thinking, well, why don't you just mute the sound for all the games on this list? Well, first, that would kill the fun of this video, wouldn't it? And second, this is the only sound on this list you can actually get rid of without removing the music or all of the other sounds in the game altogether. Which is the only reason it's not any higher. Still, whoever invented the mute function for online modes, the internet owes you a huge thank you. And a cookie.
Warning. The following entry is not meant for a younger audience, or those with weak hearts, and could challenge the family-friendly content on this channel. In fact, the next entry has been known to make players feel terrified, scream, lose stability in their voice, cause shivers down spines, and may require new underwear. If you are afraid that after listening to the sound will make you do any of that, please skip to the first place entry at this time spot. You have been warned.
To quote Fuffle's minion,
I need a cuddle.
Oh god. These abominations. It's enough to cause everything I listed before to happen to a player all at once. Once you hear its breathing, you'll quickly lose your cool. And what was in your bladder? Even when I have the Chicago typewriter, I still feel horrified being around it. The way it breathes sounds to me as if it's thinking about when I turn the corner and become a snack for it. After you meet this experiment gone horribly wrong the first time, there will be around some corners, and you will hear it giggling in its own twisted manner. It's a very small warning to a very big threat. I mean, just look at that face. It says, "Hi guys, I'm gonna bite your neck and rip your flesh off, hope you don't mind." For those who don't know, regenerators were part of the monstrosities like El Gigante, and were at one point human beings. Ugh, I can't even imagine the transformation. But what really makes them stand out from the other residents of this evil area besides their long stretchy arms, oh god, not again! Which is that they have parasites in their body that can regenerate their health very rapidly. Yeah, that's exactly why they're called regenerators. Someone please call the Planet Express crew! Now you could just keep feeding it bullets and whatnot until it overstuffs itself, or in a game where ammo feels like a godsend, you can find that thermoscope, combine it with a rifle, and target the areas that will kill it in a few, well-precised shots. Which sure beats this method. I mean, just look, this weapon was fully powered up, and it still won't go down! And when it does go down, it'll get back up and... oh god, it looks taller now. When they see you, their theme music plays, which really not helping me handle the panicky situation here. And they eat bullets like they eat your face. I'd rather hug a re-dead. After encountering these, I needed that cuddle. Happy place, happy place. I want back in my happy place. Pikmin? Of course! Pikmin make me so happy. I love these little guys. So cute, good listeners, such hard workers. They never annoy me, except when they trip. They never ask stupid questions, and they do it all for me. I can't help but love these little guys. They get nothing in return, and only think of me as a leader. I've never been so touched by a bunch of polygon... That was one of my heartstrings. Hearing a Pikmin make that last noise is gut-wrenching to me, regardless of the fact that I can just get more by harvesting pellets or the corpses of my fallen enemies. I do what I can to keep my troops alive. I'll gladly take on the smaller enemies if it means my Pikmin won't have to engage in a pointless battle that may clumsily get them eaten. I don't even like leaving a single Pikmin behind at the end of the day. A reset is in order if that happens. Of course, when I can't get the job done by myself, I'll rush at the foe with as much power as I can to make sure no Pikmin becomes brunch. I do what I can to make sure these little guys see another day. And while the first two games I can expect a few Pikmin to not make it out alive, as much as I hate to say and hear it, I've successfully beaten Pikmin 3 without a single Pikmin getting on the wall of fallen heroes. It took many one more try moments, but I did it! Rest easy, my troops. You're in good hands. And that'll do it for this list, and if you have a difference of opinion, I'd love to hear your list of 10 unpleasant sounds in video games. You made my Pikmin a ghost. I'll gladly and angrily return the favor! Hey, hope you guys enjoyed that list, and maybe you'd like these videos as well. There's the list I did for my favorite changes in the Pokemon series, my review for Pikmin 3, as well as the review I did for Game & Wario, as those were entries on here, so if you're unfamiliar with them, you can catch up with them there. And for today's video plug, we have KH Ace's review of Yoshi's New Island. So, what can you expect in this plug? Nice clean footage, how the game plays, the story, the new features in it, and he sounded very fair about the game. I guess the only suggestion I can give to better improve your reviews is your narration, but it sounded as if you had no interest in your voice when you were talking about the game. Thankfully, it does sound like you fixed that for some of your later videos, so keep up the improvements and good work. Alright guys, I'm gonna get back to work on another countdown. Later everyone!